on WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM. You're listening to Connecticut Today with Paul Pacelli on WICC 600 AM and 107.3 FM.
All right, we'll get back to open phones a little bit later on in the hour, and when we do that, it will be at 203-333. 9422-333 WICC. Welcoming back now, a guest I had on the program numerous times during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thankfully, that is past us, but starting to see things even in the mainstream media now regarding the avian or bird flu, and some of the stuff seems a tad ominous. Dr. Sarah Crawford, professor of biology at Southern Connecticut State University, joins us. Here again. Good to have you back. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to talk to you again. How are you doing?
I'm good, Dr. Crawford. Great to have you back.
But Thank you.
What is this now? What is this I'm seeing about the avian flu, the bird flu, the transmission here? Before we get to any area of concern for my audience, Dr. Crawford, define, they may say bird flu, avian flu, define that for me.
Okay, well, this is a version of the flu virus. It's called H5N1. It primarily affects birds, which is why we call it the bird flu. Actually, it may have been around since the 1600s. They used to call it the fowl plague. And for many, many years, or centuries really, it seemed to stay restricted to wild birds. And then over the last century, it has begun to infect poultry, spread worldwide. It originated in Asia, and now, most recently affecting livestock, cows. The dairy industry really hit hard by this. So it's of concern because this is changing and morphing into a virus which has a potential threat to impact us in many ways.
Yeah, I started in just the news cycle, Dr. Crawford, to see these stories about 3 weeks ago, and you're right, I saw some of the red flags raised because of, I guess, what they found it in milk samples that they traced to some dairy cows, I think, in the Pacific Northwest. Is that right?
Well, yes, in the Pacific Northwest and also in quite a few states, about 36 herds that have been identified to be infected by this virus. And yes, the genetic material has been detected in milk and in certain other milk products, which doesn't mean you have the live virus, but it means that the material was from a source that was infected. And however, pasteurization completely kills off the virus. So there's no alarm in terms of spreading it through the consumption of daily dairy products.
So how then did that end up in the cows? Basically just contact with birds?
Well, that's, you just hit on one of the most important questions as usual, which is for a very long time, it was restricted to wild birds and poultry. It managed to make its way to poultry. How it made its way to cows is unknown, but this is a very flexible virus. It can change its genetic material. We've heard about that kind of virus before. And this virus, not only did it make a jump in the early 2000s, apparently, to cows after widespread infection among poultry, but also to other mammals. So now it's spreading through many different types of foxes, raccoons, mammals, dogs, cats can catch it. So it's circling and spreading, and the alarm bell is sounding because the closer you get, you're getting farther away from birds and into mammals, you're getting closer to humans. And we do know that humans can be infected. Usually we've been able to trace the few cases that have occurred to direct contact with an infected animal. But because these viruses can morph, you're always concerned that further issues may develop in terms of contagion to humans. So that's why the CDC and the WHO and the FDA are all on alert and really trying to monitor this as closely as possible.
How serious, Dr. Crawford, is this avian flu, this strain of the virus, potentially to a human? If I were to get this sitting here now, worse than the regular flu,
well,
the seasonal flu, or what?
There's been, quite honestly, there's been so little human transmission that it's impossible for us to make a statement about that. We don't know. It's happened so rarely, which is fortunate. But we do know that in a few children, one of the first cases ever documented was about almost 40 years ago. And in an Asian boy, at 3 years old, got sick and died. Several other young children died. But for the most part, it hasn't circulated as far as we know in humans. So we don't really know what it would be like. We do know that it was responsible for a large wild bird die-off in Asia in the early 2000s. We know that it is, very interestingly, it doesn't necessarily infect the lungs. It goes throughout the body and can infect the gut and other organ systems of the body. So this is a very unusual virus, and it's of concern. And the other issue is it's very hard to monitor. They're trying to monitor wastewater. It's very